Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Discography. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most important and influential bands of the last quarter century, and that is, of course, Radiohead. They got 9 albums for us to dig through, so let's get started. Alright, number 9, my least favorite Radiohead album from 2011 is The King of Limbs. So this album starts out a little rough for me. A lot of that polyrhythmic stuff going on, multiple drum sets playing, very disjointed, and it's a difficult listen, especially the front half of the album. And being someone who pretty much exclusively listens to full albums, I don't listen to playlists or mixes. Because the first half of this album is so rough that it's hard to ever feel motivated to put it on. So that's why it sits at the bottom. There are some good songs. I love Lotus Flower and Codex and Separator, all in the back half of the album. Just rarely want to sit through the front half. All right, number 8, going with 2001's Amnesiac. A pretty decent album. There's a lot of good songs on here. Things like Pyramid Song, I Might Be Wrong, Knives Out. My problem with this album is mostly on the production. These songs just get buried in unnecessary production. I think they're trying to make things more interesting than they need to be, and they're losing the songs in the process. I love Life in a Glass House at the end. The brass is a cool surprise. Morning Bell on here is pretty cool, but I prefer the Kid A version. So yeah, that's why it sits at number 8. Number 7, their debut from 1993 is Pablo Honey. A lot of lists of Radiohead that you'll see will put Pablo Honey either last or second to last. I give it a little more love than that. It's good for what it is. If you're looking at it in relation to other Radiohead albums, it feels insignificant, but if you just compare it to other Britpop albums, it's pretty good. The guitar tones are good, even if they're very of their time, but Tom York sounds great on this album. He really belts out probably more on this album than he does on any other. A song like You at the beginning of the album, he actually sounds a little like someone like Jimmy Necco from the band Hours, or like Jeff Buckley singing really high, belting out. He sounds great on that song. Stop Whispering I love. Thinking About You's great. Anyone Can Play Guitar is a cool song. You get towards the back half of the album, things start to sound a little bit all the same. They're kind of using that same guitar tone throughout the whole thing. Prove Yourself, I Can't, Liturgy, songs like that, a little all the same. So not a great album, but it's maybe better than people think. Number 6, the most recent Radiohead album from 2016, A Moon-Shaped Pool. There are songs on this album that I love. I love Glass Eyes. I've always loved True Love Waits from the I Might Be Wrong live EP thing that they put out. Finally gets a studio version here. I prefer the other version, but I'm glad it made it to an album finally. Dex Dark is great, I like Present Tense. Main issue with this album is that it's a bit of a sleepy album. If you're not careful, it can kind of lull you to sleep. But if I'm in a specific mood, this can be a good one to put on. I do enjoy it. Number 5, from 2003, Hail to the Thief. This coming on the heels of Amnesiac, where the songs were buried in all kinds of production and synth sounds and electronics. Here, the songwriting is sort of in the same vein, but they push the songs to the forefront. The vocals are mixed louder. There's more acoustic instrumentation, and the album is all the better for it. 2 + 2 = 5, Go to Sleep, They're There, Myxomatosis, A Wolf at the Door. Pretty solid album all the way through. Only song I don't really like that much is The Gloaming. But yeah, 2003's Hail to the Thief. It's a pretty solid Radiohead release. Now we get up into what are generally considered to be the classics. A lot of people would put this album either 1 or 2. I'm not quite that big of a fan of it, but I do enjoy it. That is from the year 2000, Kid A. Very electronic, synthy, experimental album, but it's got a lot of good songs. Everything in its Right Place, How to Disappear Completely, Optimistic I love, Idiotech. My favorite song on the album is Morning Bell. Really like the version on this album. There are some like filler tracks, Untitled at the very end, and Tree Fingers. Yeah, but this is a great moody, atmospheric album. One that you can kind of just like put on and put on your headphones, close your eyes and zone out. A lot of interesting soundscapes and things like that. It's a good record. Number 3, and I kind of went back and forth between the 2 and 3 spots here, deciding which should go where. Ultimately, I decided 2007's In Rainbows should go 3rd. This one, of course, was the Pay What You Want album, where they let fans decide what it was worth. And it's a fantastic record. This was the first Radiohead album that came out when I was a fan of them, and even then I wasn't a huge Radiohead fan. So this was one that really kind of hooked me into the band, and that may be why it's a bit higher on my list, but I still think it's a really great album. You've got 15 Step, I love the bass playing on that song, Body Snatchers, Nude, Weird Fishes, All I Need, Reckoner, House of Cards, Jigsaw Falling Into Place. Almost every song on the album is fantastic. I am not a huge fan of Videotape though, which closes out the album. But other than that, it's a great record. And number 2, and this may surprise a lot of people, I'm going with OK Computer from 1997. Generally probably thought to be their best record. Either that or Kid A are kind of the 2 that people argue over. Neither one of those is topping my list. But it's an amazing record. It was groundbreaking at the time. Takes a lot of chances. The risks pay off. It's just really a remarkable achievement in recording and songwriting. Airbag, Paranoid Android, maybe my favorite song on the record, Subterranean Homesick Alien, which is fantastic. Exit Music, Letdown, Karma Police. Then you got that super weird robot voice on Fitter Happier, No Surprises, Lucky, The Tourist. 2 songs that I'm not crazy about on the record, and maybe contribute to it not being number 1 on the list. Electioneering. I know a lot of people really love that song. It's kind of the one rocker on the record. I think it sticks out like a sore thumb on this record. It does not fit in to the track list at all. And not only that, it's mixed differently than the rest of the album. At the low end, it's very thin sounding. Just a very strange addition to the record. And it always kind of like pulls me out of the, if I'm like locked into the record and and really enjoying it. That one always sort of pulls me out, and yeah, not a big fan. And the song that follows that, Climbing the Walls, not too memorable to me. I'm not a big fan of that song. So without those two songs, it's a perfect record. Those maybe keep the record down in my mind a little bit. But then at number one, a record that I think is perfect. Maybe wouldn't be most people's number one choice, but 1995's The Bends. Every single song is so good. Not as experimental or as groundbreaking as things they would end up doing. But from a songwriting standpoint, it is amazing. It's still an amazingly well-recorded album. It sounds great. And there's just enough sort of experimentation going on and strangeness to the songs that it's really very interesting. Planet Telex is great. Nice Dream, Black Star, of course High and Dry and Fake Plastic Trees, The Bends, Just, not a bad song anywhere on it. One of the best records of the 90s, and my favorite Radiohead album. So that's my listography of Radiohead. If you like it, hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications, and comment below. Let me know what I got wrong, and give me your list of Radiohead albums. Thanks for watching.